IT department. But I had a hot idea that was so brilliant it was going to propel me out of there and make me rich and famous. So my idea was I was going to make my own line of corporate function fortune cookies with work-appropriate fortunes on the inside. And on the back, instead of speak Chinese, it was going to be speak Yiddish. So I decided what I would do is for my beta test prototype run, I was going to run it by my team, and I arranged a mandatory work meeting for my team to show up, after which we would have a lovely lunch and then a dessert swap. And it would be there that I would unveil my creation. So I set to work writing the fortune cookies. I came up with really, really funny jokes, and I was able to line up the fortune cookies perfectly, and I got the best shade of rose pink for the font, and I was able to just make them on my laser printer. They looked exactly like fortunes. So there would be one that would be, say, HTTP 404: not found. And on the back, it would say, schmear, spread, or bribe. There was one that said, talk is cheap, often cheaper on nights and weekends. And on the back would say, chutzpah, nerve. I had 24 fortunes ready to go, and the night before the meeting, it was time to make the fortune cookies. I had gotten a very easy recipe off Google, off the internet, that didn't require travel to the Far East for specialized equipment, and I had planned out the whole production run, and it was 10 o'clock the night before. The kids were asleep. The kitchen was bathed in a golden glow, and I set out my utensils, and I realized I would mix the batter and spread the fortune cookies out and make 4 cycles of 6 cookies each, and I would be done in about an hour. So I mixed the batter, and the instructions said to spread the cookies out into 4-inch rounds. So after about 25 minutes of sort of mushing and pushing this way and that, I had about 3-inch compromised rounds, but they looked pretty good to me. So I put the first batch into the oven. The recipe called for, this should have been a tip-off for me, the recipe called for baking the cookies from between 5 to 20 minutes. So I figured, let me just do 12 minutes, that should be about right. The idea would be you would take the cookie out, and while it was still soft, you would mold it into the fortune cookie shape and store it in a muffin tin. So I put the first 6 cookies in. 12 minutes later, I pulled the cookies out. I took the first cookie. It started to bend, but then it cracked. I took the next cookie. It cracked. It was already too hard. The recipe said, if you need to soften the cookies, you can throw them into the oven for another minute. So I take the pan without my oven mitts, and that was hot, burning my fingers, and decided, as I was soaking my bulging fingers in the lukewarm water, that I was going to try now 7 minutes and 3 cookies each. So I prepared, eventually dried off, prepared a pan of 3 cookies, put them in the oven, took them out. The first fortune cookie, folded it, it worked. I took the next cookie out, it was too hard. I took the next cookie out, it was too hard. So it was about 11:30 at this time. I had exactly 1 fortune cookie made. And I realized it would take about 48 hours to finish, which wasn't, since I had people flying in, that wasn't acceptable. I settled on 6 minutes baking 1 cookie at a time, but I would stagger the operation. So while 1 cookie went in, the other cookie, I would prepare the other cookie, and I would get them all done in a couple of hours. So by 4:30 in the morning, I had 22 fortune-esque cookies, and I got them I had a big Tupperware, because they were so delicate that a stiff breeze would have broken half of them. I managed to get them in without only breaking one, so there were 21 cookies. I show up to the meeting in the conference room the next day. I brought my cookies. They were cloaked in a secretive tea towel so as not to reveal the secret until the right moment. And I will say that that dessert buffet was a force to be reckoned with. Amy on my team, who had not met any of her work deliverables the entire year, managed to turn out 100 chocolate snowballs with perfectly crisp and mushy inside and all this powder. And I don't know where she found the time. And then Sandy was, created these green wreaths out of cornflakes and Red Hots and icing, and it was like a little tacky, right? And Janet sort of showed off with these sleighs. Pammy brought brownies in a suitcase with peppermint, and of course Joey, he made his chocolate pecan cookies his favorite. Well, no brilliance there. And then in the middle of this entire buffet sat my cookies in the tea towel. So at dessert time, I went over and I pulled off the tea towel and invited everybody to partake. Nobody was taking the fortune cookies. Everyone was taking everything else. They went and they sat down at the conference room table and they were enjoying themselves. So I took the bin and I walked around and said, "Here, take one." I walked to everybody and I made everybody on the team take one. So everybody politely, they worked for me, they had no choice, they each took one. They politely just kept one by their side and they went about their business. And I went over to Joey. I said, "Joey, open yours." So he opens it and he's like, "May you have more bugs in your code than you have in this cookie." Oh. I said, "Read the back." He read the back. He's like, "Chazaray? Chazarai. Chazarai." Of course, Joey was from Canada. He couldn't speak Yiddish. I go to Amy. "Amy, open your cookie." She opens her cookie. It's like, "Can you hear me now?" I said, "Read the back. Read the back." She's like, "Shmata, rag, shmata, rag, get it?" So everybody opened their cookies, and there was not, I looked around, there was barely a laugh, barely a chuckle, certainly not the hearty guffaw that I had expected from this crowd. There was one lone cookie left in that bin. I picked up the cookie, I opened it up. It said on the fortune, "Do not quit your day job." And on the back it said, "Oy vey." So I didn't quit my day job, but I do have another really hot idea that I'm working on, and I will someday. Thank you.